Hello sweet friends, this is Chrissy. Welcome to or back to my channel, and today we're going to deep dive on the Six of Swords. The Six of Swords is my favorite card in the deck. It is my card for the month for October from Sincerely the Tarot. I love the Six of Swords. It is without question my significator. It is me. And it's been really interesting how I have shifted my understanding of the Six of Swords, my fullness of this energy. So I'm sure I'll get into that moving forward. So what I'm going to do today is I pulled out a bunch, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, I believe, if I can count, who knows. Different decks, guidebooks, resources that I have to just take a nice full-rounded deep dive on the Six of Swords. So we're going to start with what is going to eventually be my tarot tome. I don't have this completely filled out yet, but I do have lots of cards glued in here. This was my Christmas present to myself last year, was getting this set up. And like I said, I still have a lot of work to do on it, but this is what I will eventually pass on. Anyway, this is the copy of the Six of Swords that I received from Jordan. I am not sure which deck this is from, and for that I apologize, but I will put it in the description box below. And if I forget, which is probable, and you're interested, which is also probable, feel free to say, "Yo, Chrissy, what deck is that card from?" And I will definitely fill you in. So in my initial book, these are my notes from the first round of Tarot for the Wild Soul and Susanna Conway's 78 Mirrors. So early reflection for me on the Six of Swords from Tarot for the Wild Soul. This is the energy of moving towards safety and what you deserve, and allowing someone else or the divine to hold space. What's important, one of the important pieces of the perspective of the card in the RWS is that she can't see where she's going, which this card completely turns on its head, right? From Susanna Conway, taking a journey away from where I am now, looking at self-discovery with support, and evolving toward a peaceful conclusion. So there's a lot of the energy of receiving support from others in the Six of Swords. So this is my other the other book that I have created. This is my study guide for when I taught tarot school. When I am teaching tarot school, it's not a done thing. It's not in the past tense. And I am bringing the Six of Swords from the Fountain Tarot to share with you here. This is my absolute favorite card in any deck ever. If I had to choose in my entire collection to save one card, it would without question be this Six of Swords. So what I'm going to be reading from here are my notes from Tarot for Change by Jessica Dorr. The Six of Swords is about breaking patterns. Often we are in avoidance of things that we need to shift, and we're asked to identify where fear is and to look at it. We can always choose a new route. We can move on with fear. We don't have to leave fear behind. And I really like that concept of taking fear with us, of not having to wait until we're not scared to move forward, but to move forward with the fear. She also says that in the traditional imagery, that the swords are plugging the boat, not piercing it. And so then that kind of reminds us that it's part of the process. And if we didn't have the thoughts of doubt, then would we even be on the water in the first place? So recognizing that our fear does serve a purpose. And as she says, fear is the cost of admission. And I really like that. So moving to the guidebook for the Kawaii Tarot. I meant to say this, but I don't think I did. I did not pre-read or pre-pick apart like what I was going to say from the guidebooks. I simply took the card, plugged it in the book at the representation on the page for that card, and just went forward. So there was no pre-planning. I dug the card out, stuck it in, and here's where we are. And from the Kawaii, I've chosen just the my giant Rider-Waite. Regarding the Six of Swords, the Kawaii Tarot talks about the beginning of relief and escape from hard times. The number 6 stands for restoration of harmony and balance. The Suit of Swords is about thoughts and spirituality. That's interesting. I think I would have put spirituality in wands, but I dig this here. This card usually signifies the beginning of an important exploratory journey, sometimes over water. You may be bringing someone else. The journey is not complete yet, but you are on your way to freedom. A need to move forward. You must leave something behind. Don't be afraid of don't be afraid to let go of what's holding you back. You are about to renew your life. So again, so we see here some of the imagery that I really love in the Rider-Waite Smith is there's calm water on one side and the really rocky water on the other. So where they're leaving and where they're going to. And again, this energy of letting someone else guide, steer for us, and this sense of trust here. I'm gonna make sure we're still in frame real quick. All right, we're good. So then from my deck, from the Narrative Alchemy Tarot, I chose, where'd you go? Here we go. I chose Traverse and attached it to the solar plexus. I'm just, confession, like I'm getting all happy and maybe even a little weepy seeing all of these Six of Swords spread out. I talked about the Six of Swords showing up at a time when we're not able to discern what thoughts are truth and what thoughts are story. We've been holding on to something that is familiar to the point of burnout, and we're no longer able to simply maintain the status quo because it doesn't fit us anymore. There's this huge element of trust. We're allowing someone else to steer. I apologize if you can hear the weed eater outside of my window, but we trust that we will get here on a safe and gentle passage. We trust that, but we don't know. So there's a sense of giving in, of surrendering, of getting on this boat, even if we can't see. We know that there's something ahead. We can see that there's something, but we can't see what it is. And there's a huge sense of trust and willingness required in the Six of Swords. I'm already switching the order that I'm pulling books out. Looking at the Insomnia Tarot, this is one of, I feel like I'm going to say this over and over, but this is one of my favorite Six of Swords. This card talks about journeys, experiences, forgiveness, and optimism. I think forgiveness as a part of the Six of Swords is so important, and looking at forgiving ourselves for being stuck, forgiving ourselves for our lack of momentum, forgiving ourselves for being stubborn and immobile. So what does Nicholas Bruno have to say? A hot air balloon lifts off the coast and is piloted by a sole passenger. So you are alone here in the Six of Swords, which we see in the card from my reading this month, but really isn't a common image. One silver sword pierces the hot air balloon's weighted bags, causing their contents to spill below. You can see that here, piercing, and then the sand coming out of the sandbags. The sands are returned to the shore while the vessel begins to rise. The passenger views the horizon beyond, turning his back to us on land. 5 swords are left behind with their points buried in piles of sand, which has been returned to the earth. A period of silent reflection is encouraged by the hot air balloon's slow ascent. Previous conflicts are forgotten in search of a journey that can provide a refreshing perspective. The character from the 4 of Swords, previously bound to the earth, has risen from his period of indolence and takes flight into the heavens. I don't know. I think this card is really interesting because there is still that element of we're leaving, we're going somewhere new. We don't know exactly where we're going. You know, is the balloon going to land on this piece of land? Is it going to go even further? But there is a sense of self-reliance in the 6 of Swords and leaving the fears behind or using them for us. I think there's much more. I think the sense of liberation, the sense of freedom is much closer in this 6 of Swords than it is in most 6 of Swords. This is like the moment, this is like 5 minutes after this energy, right? This is like the exhale here, when we're in the boat being stared by someone else, we're still holding our breath. Where this 6 of Swords, the exhale, when he has lifted off, when the swords are left behind, this sword is used for a purpose and he is lifting off, there's the exhale. I feel like the typical energy of the 6 of Swords, we're holding our breath, where this 6 of Swords represents the moments, the presence of the exhale. And I love it. I love it. I love it so much. Looking at the Carnival at the end of the world. Oh, I want to show you. So this is the image from this card, and I have had this little soul for years. You can tell that it's even like got hair and dust where where the felt is glued to the bottom. This is from an artist in Asheville from the River Arts District. Again, I do not remember her name. If you're interested, I can totally dig it up. But I love how this, when I saw this card, I thought immediately of the soul. She sat on my desk for a long time, but then she fell over and got this scratch. So now she sits over on my sacred table. But I just love having a visual representation of the 6 of Swords from this deck that I've had for probably 15 years. So long before I was reading tarot. So let's see what Sarah Faulkner has to say about the 6 of Swords from the Carnival at the end of the world. Do you feel you hurtle towards the sun in the arc of the blessed dead? Are your heavy limbs ferried across the river Styx? Then throw your cargo overboard and don't look back. Set your course for a new destination. Difficulty cannot stay put forever. Travel brings you somewhere easier or someone to help. So this is where the 6 of Swords from the Insomnia Tarot feels like it is the exhale after. The 6 of Swords almost feels like the invitation before. Like this is almost like the energy of searching for the person to steer, searching for the person to go with. And this is more of a basket than a boat. And it looks like the swords here are in loaves of bread. And loaves of bread represent the pinnacles in this deck. And this concept of having to intentionally pierce our pinnacles, having to make a choice to feel, to risk our security, right? To risk our sense of groundedness, our sense of place, our sense of everything feeling safe and secure and predictable, to know that these pinnacles are not for us. They do not fit. And choosing to stab them, to pierce them, to ruin them with the swords is just like, that's poof, mind-blowing to me. I love it. So yeah, so it feels like, and I'm even kind of putting these like on different ends of the arc. seeing the Tarot at the End of the World, Carnival at the End of the World. I will one day get the name of that darn deck right. The Carnival at the End of the World being like the moment of making the choice to find someone to be in the boat with them, with us. And the Six of Swords as the exhale that comes when you finally lift off. We'll move next to the Gentle Tarot. And in this deck, the swords are thunder. So the affirmation for the Six of Thunder: I invite movement into my life. I travel safely from unsettled waters into clarity. I travel safely from unsettled waters into clarity. How peaceful is this card? Recognizing that a giant whale, my friends, a giant whale is going to be scary. So let's see what Mari in the Sky has to say in the guidebook. I'm just going to skim and read. The Six of Thunder brings our attention to movement, embracing the internal processes that come with change, introducing new ideas, encourage plans for change. Finding solace in the massive, majestic, finned relative. So finding solace in someone who can steer, who can direct, and allowing yourself to come into one energy with the other to bring a true sense of calm. Ask yourself what this desire for movement or newness, what does it feel and look like? Allow your mind to be gentle as the travel portrayed in this card. Where do you see yourself? What excites you about what is new? If you need to process what you're leaving behind, please do. Maybe a small ritual. This card to Mari, she talks about the card speaking of hope, showing the turning point after a rough spot, making sure that the depths of this process are recognized. The rainbow above holds us safely like an anchor, and the moon invites us to dive deeper. So I love being held below by this deep connective energy, being protected above by the promise from Source, and using the moon as a guide and a visual anchor. That's a beautiful little card. I've gotten myself confused. All right, next we'll go to the Pagan Otherworlds. I absolutely love the Six of Swords. The Pagan Otherworlds, the keywords are journey, transition, rite of passage. Life can sometimes be a baffling dream, cool, glassy water on one side, but turning your head, you find yourself gazing into strange and turbulent waves. So we've got the water reflected here like we have in the Rider-Waite-Smith. You find yourself gazing into strange and turbulent waves, two worlds, two opposing compass points, right and might, knowledge and superstition, freedom and tyranny. And in the center, the little boat is held in precarious balance. So this is a really interesting take on the card. There isn't a lot about in this description about being in the boat or receiving support or not knowing where you're going, but instead it's about noticing the extreme opposites that exist and how we navigate those. So this almost feels like a Two of Pentacles type energy, but with severe extremes on each side. I like this. At the center of the mysterious river, our little boat is held in precarious balance. Heavy, piercing swords sink into its hull, blades that symbolize conquest, rebellion, criticism, progress, and transformation. Each brings with it advancement, but at great cost. One large blade slips into the rushing water in an attempt to steer or moor the boat. It is a great sword of inertia and inactivity. Oh, I like this card. As we move through life, we battle these two forces, one toward our passions and victories, the other holding our past. And somewhere ahead in the eastern sky, draped in the mist, is the future. What we bring to it depends largely on how we manage these powerful forces within the river of our being. So I really enjoy that they took, because as typical, I don't think there are, don't quote me on this, but I don't think there are figures in the minors of the Pagan Otherworlds, right? It's pips with feelings. So we only have human figures in the majors and the court cards. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty stinking sure. And I love the way that the Six of Swords means something and means something complicated without having a figure and a helper, right? But focusing on the keeping the boat upright with these two massive opposing forces that are both impacting and having influence. And do we choose? Do we work in the middle? How we hold both at the same time? Because if we choose that's not going to work, right? Because the river is still going to follow us in that way. But how we learn to hold dualities is what's going to keep us upright. And I like that. Thank you, Pagan Otherworlds. Moving to one of my favorite decks. Speaking of pips, we have the Six of Swords in the Tarot for the Drowning World. So for the Six of Swords here, if you've drifted into deep waters when a storm hits, dead weight and anchors can capsize your boat. Your chances of survival increase if you cut all ties and point your ship directly into the wind. You're on a trajectory of progress, but some expediency and compromise may be necessary. So really holding this energy of cutting off what no longer serves you. So we see that in the Six of Swords here, leaving that behind. And we also see that here in the card that I received from Jordan, from the mystery deck, how she is actively cutting through the thoughts that are holding back. I don't know why I love this deck so much, friends. I don't know, but it speaks to me and it calls to me, and I just want to just etch it in my brain and carry it with me. I love it. I love it. Doesn't make any sense. We're going to go next to the Mesquite Tarot, this tiny little card. I am not a fan of the deck at all, but the guidebook is one of my favorites. So for the Six of Arrows, the swords are arrows in the Mesquite Tarot. The keywords are recovery, journey, and hope. In the motion of departure, launching onward, the Six of Arrows speaks of diagnosing a decaying situation, recognizing when it's time to flee. There's a sense that the shore behind was difficult. It's lined with dark days, a twist of knotted bottomless feelings. In exile, a corner is turned, so to speak. Displacement doesn't offer a steady rest or comfort, but softer waters are lapping in. Calmer winds, healing and help with distance. This transition softens, await movement and clarity and truth, the lip of a different shore. So we have the imagery here again of calm waters on one side and rocky waters on the other. The arrows in the boat, like we talked, I don't remember who it was, I talked about they're actually plugging up holes and not knowing specifically which direction the boat is going. All right, so the last resource I want to talk about today is Contemplative Tarot by Brittany Muller. I'm having a lot of issue with this book, which I'm sure you'll hear about over the course of October, because I have committed to reading it. And this is the Six of Swords from the Journey to the Tower, which I love this deck. It's so huge. I wish it were half the size, but I don't care. I love it. I still use it. And as much as this book is giving me prickly feelings, It also brought up something, and I did save this for last on purpose. It did bring up something that completely shifted this card for me. The story that she talks about in the book for this card is the story of Lazarus, and how Jesus grieved with the family before he brought Lazarus back. So this concept of being able to sit with people in their hard and big feelings. And this book really looks at offering compassion, not receiving compassion. Almost putting my presence, the presence of like the reader or the querent, in the space of the steerer of the boat, not the passenger. And that made me almost question every single time I've pulled this card in the last, I don't know, how long have I been reading? Since like 17, so 7, 8 years. That's not right math. I've been reading since before then. Anyway, I have always envisioned myself as the broken, disheveled, needing help figure in this deck, or in the card. Always. I have always read myself into the space of the figure needing help. Until this book, I never considered, is my energy, have I been encouraged all of this time to be the person that holds space? And that was just like, this like, I can't even tell you. So some of the questions that Brittany Muller talks about in this book, some of the reflections. Spend time reflecting on this image. Who do you relate to more, the man steering the boat or the woman and the child? How do you offer compassionate presence to someone who is suffering? How do you receive compassionate presence? What is the importance of, how does she phrase it? I looked away. The importance of compassionate presence instead of just jumping in to fix things. And then how do we relate to receiving compassion and offering compassion? I don't know. And maybe I'm running in the wrong circles, right? Maybe this is more of a Thoth standpoint or a Marseille standpoint that I haven't, you know, exposed myself to. But I mean, I read you all of those resources, and I don't know how many more guidebooks I have that I've read. And there was a passing comment in one of the ones that I kind of glazed over earlier. But the vast majority of the time, the Six of Swords puts the energy in the person being rescued, in the person that has surrendered. And I love the energy of actively seeking, actively offering that sense of surrender. And this being recognizing in the moment that that's an empowering thing. But also, how are we the rower? When this card comes up, instead of assuming that we're the one that's broken, what if we're the one that offers help? I don't know. I'm still, this is still floating around with me. I'm still figuring this out. But it's funny how a book that made me angry is making me angry. Still in the present. Really shifted in a major way the energy that I connect to the most. So friends, this was my deep dive into the Six of Swords. Let me know if you, my plan is to continue this every month as I receive my reading from Jordan. I'm sure This is not the first time I've received the Six of Swords. I've gotten it at least once before that I know if it was from the Line Strider. It's taped in a journal somewhere, or I would have pulled it out. It is a beautiful card. But let me know if you enjoy this. I mean, you could. I'm gonna, honestly, everything I do is for me, right? I record because I like to hear myself talk. That sounds really pompous, but I recognize that I process out loud. So this is really helpful for me. And I hope that, like, by proxy, this is helpful for you. So this was the Six of Swords, my absolute favorite energy in the deck and my absolute favorite card of all time. And I just want to again acknowledge that what has been my favorite, most solid energy that I connected with was just absolutely flipped on its head like less than a week ago. So that's the beauty of tarot. Our things get flipped and we gasp, and then it's beautiful. So I'm just going to leave this out for a while because I enjoy it and it's beautiful and it makes me happy. I'm going to take my cup though so that no cat accidentally turns it over. Hope you have a great day, and I'll see you soon. Happy Six of Swords month.